So, as we know, you're not a commerce student, but you are. So, what would kind of be the
That was
what
so
would be
aggressive for no reason.
no,
You're not a commerce student, but you are. Okay,
that's
continue,
not what I
sorry.
was trying to get at. Anyway, yeah. So,
But this was gigantic. This is the first time a drag queen has ever been put on the cover of...
Drag queen? A drag queen. I am the queen of drag.
do you really say that do you have to be a commerce student to really take part in case comps, or are you at a disadvantage if you're not? Or how does that
Um,
work?
I would say no, you don't have to be a commerce student to take like part of case comps. I think like honestly, like some people will be like, oh, there's no disadvantage, don't worry, no one knows what they're doing. But like I think like to be honest, like let's be quite real, like there will be that disadvantage that you would be touching like a lot of jargon that you like haven't learned because the good thing about commerce is that like even if you're like just like listening in class I'll like touch on some of the jargon and it'll at least the words will make sense to you.
Yeah.
But if you're in like a non-commerce like the words won't make sense to you. But that's the I guess benefit of non-commerce students doing case comps because like as an art student myself it's like good having that foundation of like business knowledge and having a I guess a very low risk opportunity to be able to learn that jargon and being able to like see things from a different way, and it's helpful to other like fellow like non-commerce students because when you go and apply for like jobs, right, like a lot of people will be applying for jobs at like corporate and you don't want a reason that you don't get through the interview to be, oh, you just didn't understand anything they were talking about. So I would say that it's like, yes, there's a bit of a disadvantage in that you won't get it, but then when you do get it, you'll be at an advantage. And then another good thing if you're I guess, a non-commerce student is that you bring in like a bit of a different perspective to case comps. Say if you're thinking about it from more of like an international relations perspective and it's a case where it's like, oh, you're like considering entering America, you might have better knowledge of like the international relations implications. Or if you're a law student, like you'll have great knowledge regarding any like legal implications or maybe any of the like the I guess contracts and like stuff associated with it. So it's like you can bring that like mindset in and then realize that like probably like even though like there's like that slight advantage, right? Like it probably won't matter like in like the on the stage because it's like you can very easily overcome that by like this grand thing known as Google that will tell you what everything in there means. And you can also like obviously like ask your teammates and stuff who are doing it with like commerce people. So there's like a great benefit to doing case comps as a non-commerce student. And I think I do encourage any non-commerce students to do case comps. I think if I like had to recommend one, I think like every like art student at one point should try and do like the ESSA public policy one. Purely because public policy is like a field so many art students apply into. But if you ask them like, how do you solve this policy problem? No idea. Um, and then yeah, and then also do like the B1 one because I'm like B1 alumni. Have to support the people running it. Yeah, shameless plug. Shameless plug, unscripted plug. I actually don't know what the B1 case is on this year, so it might not be very useful, but shameless plug.
That's okay. No, but I totally feel that because I'm not a commerce student myself, so having to Google a lot of terms when I come across them, that's something that I've experienced a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Sydney, what would you say are the perks of being a commerce student and
Yeah.
doing case comps?
I mean, I guess they're kind of designed for commerce students in a way. If they're like either run by commerce clubs, like consulting clubs, or opportunities specifically from I guess for Unimelb from FB like ICC or the BCom case comp. At other unis it is like different. Like they have ICC squads that are made up of different degrees, but at Unimelb specifically, it's very much for commerce students. So yeah, there's definitely lots of opportunities for commerce students you can take advantage of, in that way. and also like like we talked about before, the skills you get.
Forget about resume glazing.
Yeah, if I would assume that most commerce students care about like internships or like, grad offers and stuff. So yeah, it's very similar to like how an assessment center would run, like brainstorming collaboratively with a team, like almost like identically mimics how me and my team would brainstorm for our 3-hour cases when we were prepping in ICC, or like in other case comps, like the brainstorming phase, being able to come up with new ideas and communicate that to other people. That skill is like universal, transferable to anything, any field, not just consulting. And being able to like carry yourself in that way is something that I would say is super useful for a commerce student. I've also like spoken to people who've like done ICC before, done case comps before, and say like for consulting specifically, a lot of like that was like the most useful thing they did, like to prepare them for their job, like case comps or ICC, as opposed to like any uni subject specifically. So yeah, I think it's good if you like, lots of commerce students aren't sure if they want to do consulting or I don't know, investment banking or accounting, something else. So like it is a really good way to test out if you like it. And then if you find out you do like it, it's a great thing to talk about in interviews when you're like explaining why consulting. Yeah.
It's just so low risk. Like the only thing you're risk damaging is your ego. Like literally that's the only thing you risk damaging. You risk damaging your ego and you risk like procrastinating on your assignments.
Yeah, I've done that before.
I've done that before too. Like once I got off a case comp and then I like started working on my assignment.
Yeah.
And then the next day we had like finals and then I was still working on my assignment. And I was just like, my teammate was just in a room like looking at me and he was like, are you done yet? And I'm like, just like 50 more words. Yeah.
Would you guys say, ultimately, do you feel like university has taught you more about the field you want to go into, or is it the case comp?
I would say case comps because like I want to do consulting, like, and I learned that from doing case comps. And also like when I've interviewed for like internships and stuff, and I've been asked why consulting, like that's a reason I give, especially like the ICC program helped me like decide. Like I have friends who did it and they're like, like I do not want to do consulting after this, like I want to do investment banking. But for me it was like like I genuinely really enjoy this, like even if it's like really strange hours, I like the collaborative nature of it, and like from my experience like interning in consulting, I feel like a lot of it carries over. A lot of it is like different. Like I said, case comps are very focused on top line growth, and a lot of the time the things you're working on, like the projects you're working on might not be to do with that, but like a lot of the fundamental skills that made me really enjoy case comps are present in like consulting as well.
I think for me, I'd say that like, because I'm not sure I was ever going to do consulting in the long term, but I think for me, doing case comps definitely like narrowed it down more than uni does. Because like it's just, in most faculties, like they don't have like the careers talk with you. Like they never tell you about like, oh, what like can you actually do with your degree. And I think like for me, like case comps is like a good way to experiment like with what, I guess, not only like what kind of like job I want to do, but what industries I was into, because every like thing you'll do, you'll face like a new industry as well. And I figured out, like I want to like do something that's public sector related because I really enjoyed my like case comp within that industry. Or it's like, I might not want to do something that's more like XYZ related because I just didn't really enjoy it when I like researched that industry. So I think like while it might not have necessarily like, I guess, deeply shaped my career direction, it's helped like kind of like narrow down the options, and in like a very like quick way and very like, I guess, efficient way. So I guess that would be like some of the value as well.
Thank you so much guys for listening. See you in the next episode.